Hello everybody, this is Mr. Lee and I'm going to show you how to estimate by rounding to the nearest number. So our topic again is estimating, and we're going to round to the nearest number. And we'll start off with to the closest 100, and I'm going to show you two ways that that's done. Okay? So let's start off with a number like 522. Now, remember when we're rounding, we want to turn it into a number that's really easy to use for. It's only an estimate, it's not the exact answer. Alright, so the two ways to do it. First of all, we're looking at the 100 place, and that's what we're going to round to here. The other two digits are going to turn to zeros because we want an easy number to work with. Okay, so the main rule is we look at the first number, which is 5, and then we go to the right. Is this digit 5 or more? If it's 5 or more, then we're going to add 1 to the hundreds. If it's 4 or less, then it stays the same. Alright, so that's what we need to remember. Is the next number to the right 5 or more? If it is, we're going to add 1 to the hundreds place. If this digit is 4 or less, then this digit stays the same. Okay, so let's try this out. Alright, so we take a look. 2 is, whoops, that's not what I want to do. 2 is definitely 4 or less. So this first digit is going to stay the same. So we rewrite this as 5. Then we look at the other two digits, and those are going to turn into zeros. Because we just want an estimate, and 500 is a number that we can work with quite easily. Okay, nicely done. Now I'm going to show you the same problem and round it using a number line. So 522. Now, we need to decide what is the closest number here, which is in the hundreds place. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, we take a look. We know 522, the hundreds place that goes before that must be 500 because 500 is less than 522. Now we need to skip count to the next hundreds place. So from 500 to the next hundreds should be 600. Alright, and we call these benchmarks. So these are easy numbers that we should remember to help us estimate. Now, there's also a special number in the middle, which is called the midpoint. Now, this is going to determine whether this number rounds closer to 500 or to 600, right? So the midpoint here, this is just a number that is exactly in the middle, and it's 550, because we know the 50 is halfway between 100. Now, the next step is, where does 522 fall on the number line? So if I divide this a little bit more, I know this is about 525 and this is about 575. So just as a quick estimate, I know that 522 is a little bit less than this number here. So I'm going to drop it right about here. Good. We're almost done now. So now we have to look and see, is 522 closer to this 500 or to 600? And just by looking, we know it's less than the middle, the midpoint. So it's going to go closer to 500. So using the number line, we get the exact same answer that we did with using the other method, which is rounding to the nearest hundred. So now you know two ways to round to the nearest number, and in this case, it was rounding to the nearest 100. Okay, I hope that helps. We're going to demonstrate another one, and we'll do even a harder one. Here we go. We're going to try a 4-digit number, 2,692. And again, we're going to do it both ways to show you that, to help you understand a bit better. So, here we go. We look here. We're going to round to the 2, which is in the thousands place. So we look to the right, and remember the rule. If it's 5 or more, then we're going to add to this first digit, which is now in the thousands place. Okay? And if it's 4 or less, then this will stay the same. Okay? So let's take a look. We look here, we start with the 2, and then we're going to look to the next digit, which is a 6. Is 6 5 or more, or 4 or less? Well, we know 6 is 5, more than 5, so it's going to be here. So we're going to have to add 1 right here. So the 2 now becomes a 3, and all the other digits, these ones, simply turn to 0. And that is our estimate. So 2,692 rounds to 3,000. Not too bad, right? Now I'm going to show you one more, same number, using a number line. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite that number again, 2,692. Now we're going to use a number line. So which thousand is before this number here, 2,692? Well, we see the 2, so we know 2,000 will be the first benchmark because it's less than this number. And now to skip count, what's the next 1,000 after 2,000? Well, 3,000, because we know 3 comes after 2, and it's just thousands. So 2,000 is the first benchmark, 3,000 is the second benchmark. Now we're looking for the midpoint. Remember, the midpoint is what is the middle number, and that helps us decide whether this number is going closer to 2,000 or 3,000. So the midpoint is going to be 2,500. Can you see how that 5 pops up? We know the 500 is halfway between 1,000. That's why it's always 500, or sometimes it's 50, or it's 5. So 5 is that important number. Okay? So now we got to determine where does this number, whoops, I didn't want to do that. Where does, I'm going to go back a bit. So, I'm going to try to erase this if I can. There we go. Now, 2692. So if we go by, let's see, so that's 2,500. This will be 2,600, 2,700, 2,900. So we know 2,692 will fall somewhere around here. So finally, is this point closer to 3,000 or 2,000? Well, we know it's past the midpoint, which is exactly here, so this must be closer to 3,000. And there we have it. Using the rounding technique and the number line, we end up with the same estimate, which is 3,000. So the important thing is just to be able to do it one of those methods to get the closest rounding number. And that is estimating, rounding to the nearest number, or using a number line. All right, I hope that helps. Thank you for listening. Bye now.